Hi, welcome to Crafted Sweetly. I'm Diana. Thanks so much for being here. In this video, I'd like to show you how to create this image where the design that you're doing is actually sticking out of the book. So some of it will be farther in, some will be out. And this is called a diagonal fold. Let's get right into it. So for this, I'm using a cut and fold pattern, and you can certainly do it as a cut and fold if you choose to. But for this, I'm going to do something a little different. As with other 180 folds, I am using my 180 marker. You can certainly use whatever tool you choose to do the 180. I like my marker because it just makes it easy and uniform. You do want to make sure that the book is completely at 90 degrees here. And the 180 marker will butt up right against the pages as long as this is all even. So make sure that this is even, put your 180 marker on top, and then choose which line you choose to do. I'm using a stylus to draw the score line, and you can choose which angle, which one you're doing, but just make sure that you always have the stylus in the same position. I'm going to use the marker number 3 for the 180 fold, which is a little deeper than I normally do for 180 folds. But the next point is going to be a diagonal line. So I want to make sure that there's enough of an angle in between the two. Mark the bottom of your book across all pages, and that's going to be your anchor point for the diagonal line at the bottom. The top, I am using the corner of the book. And then I'm going to use my 180 marker to mark the diagonal line, but you can certainly use a ruler if you choose to. I just happen to already have that in my hand, so I'm just going to use the same thing to mark the diagonal line, but you can use a ruler if you choose to. Just make sure one is at the corner and the other one is at your anchor point throughout all the pages that you're folding as a diagonal. So I will score about 5 or so pages at a time. You could technically score the 180 for the entire book and then score the diagonal lines as many as you need. I will post this pattern in my Facebook group, so feel free to hop on over there and join, and then you can get the pattern. And you can fold it as I'm folding it in this tutorial, or you can do it just a plain cut and fold, shadow fold, whatever you would like. I do have a bunch of various videos for techniques, different book folding techniques, so be sure to check those out as well. So now that I've done the diagonal fold and the 180, I'm just going to go back and fold along the crease lines, the 180 fold first. And then once I have the 180 folded, then I will mark the pattern onto my tabs there using an Incra ruler. And then of course proceed and cut them along the marked points with sharp scissors, and I'm cutting them all the way to the edge where the fold is. Once you start seeing the diagonal line, then you want to make sure you cut all the way to the diagonal line versus just at the edge of the paper here. So you want to make sure you go all the way in, because that tab will be folded all the way to where the crease is. Now the folding back of the tabs will depend on where the crease line is for that diagonal line. So starting at this end, it goes at a diagonal because that's how that diagonal line is. And you're going to fold it back to that crease, to that score line. And just continue doing that. And all of these will be farther into the book because the diagonal line kind of goes in deeper. Now you could have done that diagonal anchor point a little farther out, but then the progression wouldn't be as pronounced from the depth to the sort of sticking out portion. And then as you see, as you get towards this area, now the score line is on the outside, so you're going to fold outwards versus in. I mean, you're still going right along those diagonal score lines, and that's exactly how you're going to fold your tabs. So as you can see, it's farther in at the beginning, and then eventually it sticks out for the top portion of the lighthouse. And that diagonal line will dictate where you fold everything. Now the diagonal line is starting farther in. You could do it the other way, so where the bottom part of your design is sticking out and then the tip of it will be sort of sunken into the book. But for this one I chose to do it where the base of the lighthouse is in and then the top of it will be sticking out, almost like a beam, and that's where you should be bringing the ship in. But that was just a decision. You could certainly do it the other way around. So now I've folded most of the lighthouse is done. So you can see how the top of it is sticking out and then the bottom of the lighthouse is really deep into the book because of that diagonal fold to it. And that's kind of the effect that you have. Now some designs lend themselves well to it, others may not. So you decide which way you want to do the diagonal for it. Now the text, I started off to do it one way and then I decided to change the design for it. The top part of it was going to be sticking out and then the shine would be a little farther in, just from the way I could tell from the rest of the design. But there will be a little bit of a change as far as the start on this. Now I started to do the diagonal fold for the wording as well, and then after seeing how it turns out, I decided to change it up and not do that anymore and do it just a regular cut and fold because the fine font that I had for the top two words was just too skinny and it was just not gonna look right. So don't be afraid to adapt as you go along with the fold and change it if you need to. So I decided not to do the diagonal on the rest of it and just stick to doing a regular cut and fold to it. So I'm gonna pull back all these tabs just regular and ignore the diagonal line on the ones that I did do the diagonal, and then the rest of the book I'm not even going to do the diagonal. I'll just skip that part completely. And there is the book and there's the book. We've got the diagonal lines here with the lighthouse, the tip of it out, the base in. And then there is the wording. So as you can see, I decided not to have it sticking out. Everything is kind of deep in. And I'm going to add cardstock to the top, cardstock to the bottom, to the words, different colors, just so it stands out a little more versus the way it is right now, because there are a lot of fine small 1 millimeter cuts. To add the cardstock, I cut out just strips of paper and I'm using art glitter glue to glue these in. And I did not do the whole length of the book. And then I'll just add cardstock. I'm going to do the fine print words in black and then the sunshine will be in yellow. So I've just cut out cardstock to do the two different colors. And I'll glue black towards the top part of it, and once you add a little bit of art glitter glue, make sure that the cardstock is completely in, like right against the fold, otherwise it's not going to be as visible. And then the bottom part will have the yellow, so I'll just add art glitter glue there as well and make sure that everything is flush against the folds with the two cardstocks pretty much right butting up against each other. And then continued adding the cardstock with the yellow at the bottom and then the black at the top. And then this is what they'll look like with the cardstock in. Okay, you can kind of see the cardstock right where all the openings are. And then if you look at the top of the book, then you've got the 180 fold, nice and even, which makes a difference. And then for the book, Make Like a Lighthouse is much sharper because of the black cardstock. And then Shine is also nice just for a little contrast with the yellow. As you can see, having the lighthouse kind of at different degree than just the usual flat or sticking out of the book, it just adds a little more interest. If you have any questions, please comment below. If you end up making this project, would love to see you post it in my Facebook group. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next project.